months.
Otaku
It was a
Katie.
very brave move for a new
I just
couple.
realized her
We've
name.
been married for 13 years now. Given the amount of
Okay, this
fart-related
is perfect.
stories, I'm beginning to suspect that flatulence is actually a human mating call.
Yes, I know about cats and
Right here,
alcohol,
it's
Wesley.
about 3 weeks into dating. My husband invited me to a house party at his best friend's place.
Yes,
We were playing
see.
beer pong having fun.
I'm kidding.
The other team is up.
I'm just
They
kidding.
toss the ball. I lean
But that one
forward
lady
to
who
try
gave her
to
cat
block
like
it.
vodka or
My now
something.
husband extends his hand out in front of me at the same time, catching the ball but at the same time hitting me in the eye and somehow pulling out 3/4 of my eyelashes. He felt terrible about it
I want
and
the living
tried
room
to
to be
burn
more
off his
square.
eyelashes in drunken sympathy. He hates when I bring it up, but I think it is the funniest story. She was about to sneeze and she was sitting half on my
Okay.
lap, so I kinda thought she was gonna sneeze
So this
on
is
me
how the
and I
living
didn't
room's
care
gonna
what I
go.
was thinking, but I put my hand up to block her sneeze, except I had a glass in my hand and I blocked her own hand from covering her sneeze, and instead she slammed her face into my glass. Married 6 years now, she still has all her teeth. I made myself a burger for dinner before heading over to her place to hang out. Unfortunately, I'm not the best cook and left a little too much pink in that burger. While we were at her house, I bet her I could fit through the doggy door and crawled right through. Then she immediately closed it behind me and we raced to the front door. She won and she locked it. Now at this exact moment my bowels decided they had enough of that burger from earlier and I felt my stomach
That burger is
cramp.
fucking
Luckily I held
basically
it all in and ran
alive.
back
You don't
to
get
the
hella
back door with
tapeworms.
my cheeks
Please stop
clenched
doing
and
that.
starting knocking desperately in the door.
Expand.
She was laughing at first,
Please.
but when she saw my face go suddenly serious and I said very calmly, I need you to open the door. Now please. She unlocked the door and asked if I was okay. I told her to stay downstairs and turn the TV up loud. She agreed.
Like, I'm not
but
an
was very
interior designer.
confused. So I ran upstairs and then
But-
had one of the most violent shoots of my whole life. I thought the worst was behind me until I went to whine. And of
Ooh.
course no
Actually, this
TV.
kind of works out.
So she took my instructions really well, and when I yelled to her, texted her, and called her, I got no answer. After probably like 10 missed calls, she finally answered and I asked her to bring me some TP and leave outside the door and try not to breathe on the way upstairs. She was great about it and immediately started making fun of me when I came back downstairs. Now quite a few years later, a couple, kids and cat, she's still making fun of me. Man, I was so expecting this story to end with you getting stuck in the doggy door and crapping your pants. We were taking a shower together and she was
Yes, all the
soaking up
doors
while
are
I
gonna
was
be
under the hot water rinsing
electronic
off, and she slipped, and
doors.
instead of
Doors.
grabbing helping her, I pulled away, thinking for some reason that I'd already rinsed off and didn't want to get soapy. Thank God she caught herself on the shower curtain and didn't get hurt. She was not happy. My explanation of
This
my
kinda
faulty thinking
big
didn't help
for a
at all
living room.
either. We laugh about it now, but it took some serious smoothing over
I don't
at
know,
the
is it?
time. Oh yay, it's not like you are in the shower and can't just rinse again. I know what my husband would say, because I still tease him to this day. We had been dating for 2 weeks and were spooning on his futon, watching a movie.
I guess you
Out
could
of
fit a
nowhere he
dining room.
says, "I'm really sorry, I can't hold it in anymore," and rips a huge fart. My husband was a very clean, tight-knit, prudish kind of guy.
Okay, I have an
so I
idea.
couldn't
Yeah.
help but let out the biggest laugh while he turned about as red
So
as
this is going to be cut in half. This is going to be a
little late to the
living
party,
room
but
with a
here's
dining
my
room.
story. When we had only been dating a month or so, my then boyfriend went to pick me up, I assume, and accidentally threw my head through the ceiling and gave me a concussion.
What the
He's
fuck?
6'8"
This
and just
story.
really misjudged the distance. I also had a hard time getting used to his height and very regularly kneed him in the balls for about 2 years while cuddling, so I think we're even. We've been together 6 years now and proud to say we haven't injured each other in about 4. My first GF did that almost every time we cuddled too, but she was a sweetheart, so it was alright. I had just started a
thing
job
is-
working with her and, unbeknownst to me at the time,
Actually, no, I
her
could just
mom-
do this.
Her mom and I did not get along.
No, I don't have to
My
delete
move
it.
was, "What's up with that thick B? Insert name." She said, "Oh, I'll tell my mom you said hi." I was dead. But hey, here's we are married 16 years, so. It wasn't until after we were married that my wife told me that I almost didn't get a second date because I talked too much during the movie. I don't really remember it, but apparently I was leaning over every 30 seconds or so to tell her what I was thinking. Also, Valkyrie with Tom Cruise probably wasn't that great of a date movie.
I'm guilty
but it
of
all
talking
worked
through
out in
movies.
the
I don't
end.
know.
ETA. Please forgive
Like,
me my movie talking
I just find it
sins.
so
Everybody.
interesting.
I was a dumb
Like, to talk
teenager and
during a
she's
movie.
really pretty. I was just quite anxious for things to go well.
Wait, especially if it's a date.
First
like,
date with my wife. End of
this
the
why I
night
don't.
I went
I
to
wouldn't
kiss
go on
her
a
on
movie
the cheek
on a
being all
date
sweet and crap.
because you
She
can't
thought
talk.
I was leaning in for
So
a
that's why I
hug and
just end up
leaned in too.
talking.
As she
I'm
leaned
like, what's
in,
the
I
point of a
turned
date if
my
you don't
head and
talk,
instead
you
of
know?
her cheek I kissed her neck. Turned super red and embarrassed, then goodbye and almost pushed her out of the door at my apartment. I immediately texted her sorry as well and she laughed. 3 years
This is
into
not as
marriage,
good as
she
I
apparently
hoped.
didn't care. On
Well,
our first dinner
this is the
date,
diner
my
room.
husband ordered a crap ton of food to show
Wait,
me
that
his
makes no
favorites
sense.
at
Why
an
would the
Indian
dining room be over
restaurant
here?
and forgot his wallet at home, and only discovered doing so when the check had arrived. Cleared me out well over $100 and he was absolutely mortified.
The dining room should be over
But
here,
we've
and
been
the
married
living
for
room
near 2 years, so my card
should be in
got
here.
declined on the first lunch date
But
we went on. The bill was less than $20. I was freaking mortified.
the living room, in my opinion,
15 years married
if you're gonna make a
now.
mansion, the living room has to be
When we were dating,
poppin'.
my husband and I were holding hands when
So
he
that's
had to
kinda
cough.
small.
Instead of letting go of my hand and covering his mouth, he continued to hold on, brought it up to his mouth and coughed into my hand. It was a dry cough. If it was anything more I would have run. My girlfriend did this to me and is still horrified whenever I catch
Wait, can I
her
just move
about to
this
do
wall?
it again.
Do I really have to delete it?
I didn't
Actually,
ask
nah.
her for
I
her
want
number
more
the
living
first
room
time we
space.
hung out, knowing I may never see her again. My brother got it and I later got it from him. She had an Xbox and staying the night. She woke up to me playing some arcade hockey game and providing commentary of goal. Smile goalie. Told
do
my
anything,
then
did it?
boyfriend at the time that I wanted to have sex for the first time and he made me wait until his Magic the Gathering tournament was over. I decided to not shave for a few months
Jesus.
since I was going to be serving in the jungles of Ecuador and wanted to be a wild man. As it turns out, a thick, blonde neckbeard isn't very attractive. We met our first day of high school, so there are many. My least, her family's, favorite is when I left her messages. This was before cell phones and her parents owned a business. They set their voicemail in a business manner in that you dial 1 for father, 2 for mother and so on. I found out later
Why
it
the
was
fuck is
practice
it
for their office
outside?
line and that this line went to the same recording. No matter
Actually,
what,
I don't have to delete
I
it.
left so many messages of call me ramblings. They were on vacation. Her 4 siblings and her parents listened to it all on speaker in a van. We kept it secret for years until we didn't. It's never stopped. I got fairly intoxicated and decided to tie a towel around my shoulders while completely naked and run in front of her on FaceTime screaming, "Look at my dangle." Yes, but she does remember you. When I kneeled to propose, I landed on a sharp rock and we had to go to the because it lodged in my kneecap. Everything.
Fail.
Just really everything. Our first kiss is the one that sticks out in my mind. We kissed and right as we kissed some air moves in my throat. Sounded like a burp but it wasn't. It seemed like I burped right into her mouth and I was mortified. She now knows it wasn't a burp, but at the time, not so much. I'm such a lucky fool and had some big blunders early while learning who I am and who she is. I'm lucky someone so wonderful saw past the stupid young person I was. I hate those esophagus gurgles. My wife and I get them. I get gut gurgles like that, too. Sounds like a fart, but it's just my stomach moving around. Transitioning from that uncomfortable to the comfortable phase, I was sitting across the room while she did homework. I farted pretty loudly and she looked me in the eyes and fired back. Luckily I had
Oh my
another
God,
in the
please.
chamber and asserted my dominance. To my surprise, which she matched for a second time, but even louder. Having this all happen in a span of 2 seconds and thinking it was pretty funny, I tried to top her by forcing one more out to reign supreme. Well, let's just say it wasn't a fart I forced out. One of her
Yikes.
favorite stories to tell close friends and family. We've been married for going on 4 years though, so I'll guess it all worked out for me. TLDR. Crap yourself in front of potential mates if you wanna get married. No guts, no glory. I'm the wife. Probably a year into us dating we fought about something neither of us can remember now. To make up for it he went and bought us both dessert, which was a sweet gesture. Of course he went and did it right after dinner, so I was still full and said I would shower and eat it when I finished my shower. Well, when I
Why is
was in
this
the
blocking
shower he
out?
decided for some godforsaken reason to eat the dessert he bought for me. after eating his own serving of it. Everyone who has heard the story is very surprised our relationship lasted after that night. I did bring it up in my vows as an example of how I'll love him even when it's not the easiest thing to do. When we were first dating, my husband had a massive night out drinking. I was trialing some antidepressant medication and was a ball of anxiety. Barely slept all night. I woke up to texts from him saying he had grabbed some bacon and egg rolls for breakfast but was locked out. But I got up and found him passed out in my doorway and he'd eaten both rolls. Sucker. I once spear tackled my then girlfriend out of misplaced enthusiasm in high school. I was excited to see her and handled it as badly as was possible. It was in front of a bunch of our friends and I ended up knocking the wind out of her and making her cry. That was about 17 years ago, and we're still together. I also licked my plate at a fancy restaurant because the salad dressing was so good. She still brings that one up every few years. Edit. My most upvoted comment ever is me recounting my most shameful relationship fails. The internet is weird. Plate lickers unite. So, basically you're man puppy. The night I met my husband, he stared at me while I was sleeping. For 4 hours straight. It's been 3 years. He still stares at me until I scold him for it. Then he waits until he thinks I won't notice and starts staring again. I love him to the moon and back, even though he'd sure as heck stare at me the entire trip. My GF does this all the time. Although flattering, it's still pretty creepy to wake up to. What was the dumbest assignment you were given in school? In my 8th grade English class we had a South African teacher who really wanted to teach art instead. We read maybe 2 books the entire years, but we made about 15 paintings related to books we read on our own. Right before winter break, she told us we would each be writing a 50-page fiction book over the next month and a half, including the break. We had to make a proposal and summary of our story and present it to the class for a grade. Barely anyone worked on their book over the break, which really peed the teacher off. I started writing my book 10 days before it was due. That's what the teacher get. How you gonna fucking
At
one point I wrote 20 pages in a day,
with a whole different subject
but usually
and
did
expect them to know
4-6
what to
pages
do?
a day. Naturally, my book was flailing nonsense mostly lifted from Magic, The Gathering lore, and it kind of just ended at a certain point, but I spent a crapload of time working on it, so whatever. The assignment was brutal for an 8th grader, especially coupled with other homework, so I was just happy with writing the full 50 pages. When we turned our books in, one of my friends told me he only wrote 20 pages of actual content and the rest was random words strung together, and another friend only wrote 25 pages. I was pretty proud of myself for legitimately trying. Then, our teacher had us sell our books to her by wearing dress clothes and pitching our stories to her. We received 3 grades for that, but she didn't even grade us on the actual books or even read them. My friends who bullshitted the assignment made the same grades as me. I could have given her 50 pages of Greeking and gotten the same grade. It was the most fruitless freaking thing I've ever done, and she didn't even give us the books back. No matter how many times our parents asked, it was without a doubt the worst assignment I've ever done, and nothing else has even come close. That hurts.
This is just gonna be some walkway to your...
The teacher for my AP government class used to make us grade the tests and papers from his other classes because we were smart enough to learn the material on our own. We never really complained
So I think I got
about
the
it
rooms
because grading
down pat.
tests is more fun than doing actual work.
Like this is...
But
Okay,
in the
I'm
end,
gonna give it a
kinda
little
sucked
bit of a
cause
tour.
most of us did
This
bad
is the
on the
garage.
AP exams. There are 3 branches
here.
of the government and by the time
This is
the
the
AP
kitchen.
exams rolled around, we had only gone over 2 in class. Sounds
This is
like
the
a super
pantry.
crappy teacher. In Spanish class we had to write a haiku in English. This is Spanish class. We should be learning
This is
Spanish.
a hallway.
Teach fricking Spanish. I went to an
This is the
abstinence-only
living
school
room.
district. In 8th grade health class, we took brown paper lunch bags.
And this
wrote my
is the
abstinence
kitchen,
on them in magic
which I
marker
need
and
to make
decorated them.
attached.
Then filled them with
No,
slips
this
of
is
paper
not the kitchen.
listing
That's the
reasons
living
we
room.
should
I mean,
stay
the dining
abstinent.
room.
We were
Yeah.
encouraged to write things like "I'll lose my self-respect," "I might get
Okay,
an
now
STD,"
I have to go upstairs and
etc.
work
Then
on
we had to
the
carry these
bedrooms
dang things around
and the
for a
gaming
week.
room.
Our teacher could stop us at any time in class or in the hallway and demand to see
I'm also
it,
gonna make
and
like
we
a
lose
bank or
points
a
for
safe.
not having
I
it.
want this part to be my
I drank
bedroom.
a cup of water and rated it. This was for a senior stats class in
I'm
high
also gonna
school.
make a
This was
guest
a test
bedroom.
grade. The 7th of August 2010. Too much water. In high school we had to write a letter about a rule
Actually,
or policy we didn't like and address it to someone in a high
this is gonna be the
position
guest
at a company
bathroom,
or in the
bedroom.
government or whatever. Everyone thought it was just an
This is
exercise,
gonna be
so
a
most of
little.
us just
I mean, not
wrote
the
a
bed.
letter to the principal about a
English,
stupid
please.
school rule that
This
we
is
didn't like.
the guest
Turns out
bedroom.
the teacher actually
This
sent every
over
letter
here
without telling
is
us.
my bedroom.
One at a time we were called into the principal's office and about 3/4 of the class got detentions for it. That's such
So I could
BS.
see and look down
I
upon all
got
the
a punishment
peasants.
exercise once that was to write about the life of a ping pong ball, had to be 400 words, so I think I started it off with I was bought for £3.99, then I was taken out of the box and my life consisted of ping pong for another 378 times. I was given another one for being a smartass. On an exam in university we had to make a PowerPoint presentation, but not with a computer or anything. No, that would be too reasonable. Instead we had to draw a bunch of boxes on white paper and fill them in with pictures, words and whatnot. Coloring was expected. This was in a third-year engineering course. We wrote letters to Santa. Then a month or two later, the teacher read us a story which mentioned Santa not being real.
So I want to have
high school
like my
sucks.
bedroom and the guest
We had to
bedroom
take a
are
test
obviously
to
not
find
gonna be
out our social
connected.
class,
So
as if we didn't
I need to
all
make
already
two
know.
different doors.
I am sorry, Timmy. You're in the poor class and can't associate with your friend Jackie anymore. Go sit with Martin. But Martin smells like a pig's butthole. Well, get used to it, Timmy, because you're about to get crap on your whole life.
And I'm gonna make the
crossword
the
in
glass of
chemistry.
black,
Crosswords are
privacy
stupid
reasons
assignments anyway,
for the bedrooms.
but this one took the cake. Instead of clues to figure out and write in blanks, the clues were the words.
You don't
the
know the
assignment
controls.
was literally to copy the words into the blanks. The teacher used some old Windows 95 program to make them. The program could make either crosswords or word searches. I'm pretty sure she meant to make a word search and made a crossword by accident, but you think she would have realized
Lily
at
White.
some point.
Sounds
She
like
did
an actual
realize, but said frick it,
Really
I
black.
don't want extra work.
Damn.
Go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and write a paper on the experience. It felt like such an invasion of privacy. I had an English teacher in high school. It was his first year teaching there. That was not well liked for some of his policies regarding his class. He knew this, and towards the end of the year, maybe 3/4s in, gave us a choice of 2 assignments. A very long essay about the characters in some book we were reading, or a 1-page letter addressing why we don't like him and what he could do to change. It turns out, only myself and 3 other kids in class chose the letter. How do I know it was only 3 other kids? Because he reported us all to the principal, and we were called in
cleaning
one
people
day
are
to
still
get a
not
lecture
here.
about how disrespectful we had been to the teacher, and we all got in school suspensions. Dong. It's actually not that bad of an assignment, but it was just funny. We had to create
Damn.
movie casts
I totally
for a book we
misjudged
were
it.
reading and explain why we cast the actors in each role. We created Tyler Perry's The Scarlet Letter and just put Tyler Perry in every part. I'm fairly sure we got a good grade. This would make a terrifying film. In gym class, we had a fitness contest. Teacher must have goofed up, because 10 sit-ups were 1 point and each bench hop was 10. Stand on one side of the bench with both hands on it and hop over it. Sit-ups were first, so I did 10 and
misjudged
stopped.
it.
I looked at the others powering out 60-70. Then came bench hop, and as they were all cramped from sit-ups, I powered out about 100. Congrats, you won, Jim. My biology teacher during my senior year wanted us to collect all these plant samples in winter on the west coast of Canada. Yeah, about 75% of the plants she assigned us weren't blooming at all during this time. To be fair, she
Why
was
aren't
from
they
South
here yet?
Africa. But honestly,
They're
maybe
supposed to be
research
here.
the area before assigning a project like that.
Fire.
It's impossible to find dandelions
There's
and
like,
maple leaves
we
when
lied.
it's freaking January. You can't find maple leaves during the playoffs either unless you work on a golf course. Create something that serves a purpose but has never been invented before. For those wondering, I wrapped a coat hanger around a handheld fan and put an ice cream
I want my
cone in it.
room to be
Never
bigger.
got to do much field testing, but I'm pretty sure it melted just as quickly. Faster. Convection being a thing and all that.
Nigga, it's 3 o'clock.
The one where they test if you read the test over before answering. First question was to read everything carefully. Last was telling you to not answer any of them middle questions. I got it every year of elementary school for some stupid reason.
Okay, I'm a
in my grade 10
shrink
IB
this a little
math
bit.
class. One day our teacher was absent and one of
And
the pay
then
teachers subbed in. This guy was an awesome,
I was feeling
energetic pay teacher
some type of
who
way because I
knew
made my
absolutely
room
nothing
kind of
about
small.
math. So he begins class with assigning us some textbook
Yes.
work, and then telling everyone that there was going to be a test at the end of class. With the IB program being accelerated learning, everyone in the class was freaking out and furiously studying for this surprise test. With about 10 minutes left in class, the teacher tells everyone to take out a piece of paper and to answer the question on the overhead. We had until the end of class to complete our answer. He turns on the projector and the only thing written is, "I just got a new boat. What should I name it? SS. Go frick yourself." Once in high school, we had to pick a classmate and write a poem about them. We'd then have to read it out and have everyone guess who it was about. I had social anxiety and no friends in the class. I wrote the poem about myself. Loophole unlocked. In community college, our sociology professor
trying to find a
wanted
faster
us
way
to
to,
go
like,
to Little Tokyo
build
in
things
downtown
instead of
and ask World War II
having to go
related
back and
questions
forth to
to anyone
menu.
who looked Japanese. I decided to drop that class and get a W instead. We dropped something a little different on anyone who looked Japanese and got a different kind of W instead. Our science teacher did not think seatbelts did anything. We disagreed. She told us to do a 5-page paper on why seatbelts are ineffective. She told us not to voice our opinions in it, only present the one side of the argument, her side. If only she then got in a car crash and got saved by a seatbelt after assigning it, but before it was due.
Are you
so
serious?
She had to end up reading about why what saved her life was useless. This was class in high school. The first assignment was learning to sing a song about which presidents were on which bills. There were accompanying arm and body motions. I was aghast. That's hilarious. To write a story about my people's festival of lights instead of writing about Christmas. My people don't celebrate a festival of lights. Yay, public elementary school. I was tutoring some Saudi children last year and one of the girls was given a similar assignment. No one knew what it was. Her teacher sent home angrier and angrier notes about why the assignment wasn't handed in, despite several notes from home being written asking what this festival was. Create a Facebook profile for a book character. Easiest grade I ever got. I had this same assignment. We had to do it for Romeo and Juliet. Told to get naked and